Peace and blessings, everybody. It's Friday, November the 9th, the year 2018. I wanted to bring you some news, otherwise you may not hear about it. I believe this story has been suppressed and silenced in mainstream media. I would not have known about it myself had not Sam Bushman with the Liberty Roundtable told me about this story. And I live in Texas. Also, when you hear that a congressman, whether they be a Texas congressman or a federal congressman, has gotten charged with fraud, you immediately think they're guilty, right? It's like, well, all the congressmen are guilty of fraud, and just throw them in jail and throw away the key. You know, throw them in jail and throw away the key, or lock them in jail. How does that go? I think it's lock them up in jail and throw away the key. Anyway, getting back on track, your normal reaction when you hear a congressman charged with fraud is, they're probably guilty because they're all corrupt as hell, and they probably wouldn't be running for congressman unless they were corrupt anyway. Well, I believe we might have a different situation going on here, and we need to evaluate each situation before we throw our fellow man to the wolves. If you go to defendapatriot.com, which is a website set up by Steve Stockman supporters, it might even be set up by his wife, you can see that Congressman Steve Stockman was calling for the impeachment of Obama because of his executive orders on gun control. Here's a story on Steve Stockman calling for the arrest of Lois Lerner in her targeting of Christian conservatives in America, which included me. So Lois Lerner was pleading the fifth and not speaking in front of Congress, and Congressman Steve Stockman was calling for her arrest. I like this guy already. You also have Congressman Steve Stockman calling for the impeachment of Attorney General Eric Holder. I mean, I like the guy. I mean, everything about the guy that I've read, he was doing the right things. Here's an article at townhall.com that says how out of control DOJ prosecutors took down Republican Congressman Steve Stockman. Do you know that Steve Stockman had a bumper sticker and it said, if babies had guns, they wouldn't be aborted? I mean, he's calling for the arrest of Lois Lerner, the impeachment of Obama, the impeachment of Eric Holder. He had a bumper sticker that said, if babies had guns, they wouldn't be aborted. And he's got a website called defendapatriot.com. Let me ask you something. Does this sound like your kind of guy? Because it sounds like my kind of guy. And I know how evil the DOJ is. I know how bad the DOJ is. Don't get me started on how wicked and satanic and from the loins of hell the attorneys and lawyers that work for the Department of Justice are. I already know. I know what they did to Schaefer Cox. I know what they did to Ed Brown. I know what they did to, to other patriots in our country, Russell Landers. And so today I learned that Steve Stockman gets 10 years in federal prison. Well, they silenced another one. They silenced another vocal, outspoken voice for biblical, patriot, freedom issues. And what are we going to do about it? We just going to remain silent and say, oh, well, too bad for him. I get to go to Dairy Queen and I'll get my vanilla cone dipped in chocolate, whatever it's called, a blizzard at Dairy Queen. I tell you, we have got to speak up. When they burned William Tyndale at the stake, do you think there were people standing around watching it, realizing they probably could have done something? I mean, I just don't think it's appropriate for us to stand around and be silent when they put men who are standing up for our values in prison for 10 years and silence them. Now, it appears that he had some very big donors that gave him some money, and they're saying he didn't spend the money right. Well, I don't even think, look, that's between him and his donors. They wanted to put him in prison, I think, for 283 years. I'm still investigating the case. I hope you'll investigate the case with me. But the worst thing we can do is remain silent while the Department of Justice thinks they can silence this man for 10 years by throwing him into a federal prison. Sam Bushman did an interview with his wife. And You can go, let me just try to find the website real quick. I think it's libertyroundtable.com. Go to libertyroundtable.com, search for Steve Stockman in the search bar, and yeah, here we go. Guest Patty Stockman, former Congressman Steve Stockman's wife, defendapatriot.com. So you can listen to a 2-hour interview that Sam Bushman did with Steve Stockman's wife. I think it's very important we don't remain silent on this issue. I think we need to pray and we need to speak up. And if we don't stop this, it's going to happen to all of us. They're going to come for us one by one. Anybody that's outspoken and anybody that calls for accountability, in the Department of Justice, the IRS, and the FBI.